Hey everybody, welcome to Effortless. This is a show where we talk about stuff and we didn't come up with an intro. I'm Spiegel.
I'm Piddle. We'll come up with something.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Doop-a-doo-doo.
This is Effortless. So I want to lead off with this. I saw a story today as I was browsing the internet, and this is not related to games at all. Well, it is related to a game, but not video games. Unless you're a fan of the NHL franchise.
I love hockey.
Created.
Great sport.
So we're going to talk about hockey. And the first thing that I wanted to, well, it's really the only thing I wanted to mention because it's the only good story to come out of hockey in like 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with the headline. This is from Bleacher Report's Dan Carson. Fan throws giant octopus on ice at Detroit Red Wings playoff game. Now, apparently this is a thing. Like, this is not just a one-time some guy was drunk and he's like, I'm going to throw an octopus on the ice.
Who throws octopus? Or octopi?
Octopi. The first line of the article says, the roots of the hurling of octopi at Detroit Red Wings playoff games go back to the 1950s. It began as a symbolic offering to ensure a bountiful harvest season for the octopus farmers of Detroit, or as an 8-tentacle salute to the 8 postseason wins once required to win the Stanley Cup. Now, that line might be sarcastic, but do they have octopus farmers in Detroit? Is this a thing? You living in the Midwest, do you know about this?
I don't live anywhere near Michigan, and I would not want to go to Detroit nowadays. But where do you catch octopi in Detroit? I think you can catch STDs pretty easily.
That's horrible. What a horrible way to lead off the show.
The best way.
Well, I was thinking maybe, like, have you seen those commercials, like, for the car, that, like, it's car insurance or something, and he's like, oh, there's gunk in my engine, and then there's, like, he gets baseballs thrown at him. Maybe, like, the gunk is, like, an octopus. Like, it's the octopus like, it's ink, like Splatoon, maybe? Okay.
So
Nope, we're not talking about this anymore. This was a complete disaster. I'm sorry for everyone listening.
You know what? So, like, the next time that you go to a Red Wings game, grab one of your Splatoon amiibos and throw it on the ice.
If anyone actually managed to get the Splatoon amiibo, apart from me.
Yeah, all that would happen is there would be a mad dash for the ice by all the fans.
Yeah, they'd be like...
Anybody who has an amiibo, they're like, oh my god, that's worth $200.
You know, one day I'm probably going to break down and just sell all these friggin' things. I wonder how much money I'm going to get from it. Probably more than I paid. So I guess that's a win right there. Even though I obsessed over collecting these things, I'm probably going to make more money than I paid. Just on the fact that I have a gold Mario, I have a Wii Fit trainer, I have a villager, I have I have a fox, which for some reason nobody has. I don't understand that at all.
I love that you think you're actually going to sell it. I mean, what's really going to happen is you'll die, and your kids will find your amiibo collection, and they'll say, "Ooh, we can sell this for a lot of money."
Yeah, you're totally right. And I did the same thing with Pokemon cards when I was a kid. I don't know if you ever got into this, but when I was a kid, I would just like go to the store. Every time I go to the store, I'd be like, "Buy me a booster pack, Mom," and so we'd get one. And by the end of it, I'd had I say by the end, Pokemon card collecting is still going on, which I think is just insane. But I have probably 3,000 cards just stashed away in my closet in these little protective binders. Some of them are in good condition, some of them aren't. I've got
I don't know if you know this, but Pokemon is actually back.
What do you mean?
My understanding is that the Pokemon trading card game is back.
Like
kids want Pokemon cards again.
Well, I will say in the store that I work, we do sell Pokemon cards, and I have had kids come in and buy them. I always assumed it was just kind of an anomaly, that just kind of like a thing. Like, kids saw the Pokemon and they wanted the cards. I didn't know that that it actually was coming back. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Is it's back, better than ever.
It's weird. No, I don't agree with that.
Dust off your holographic Charizard card.
I will say that I have kept up on the news a little bit, just like an iota of news. Like, every time they release a new Pokemon card pack, I kind of know about it, just by virtue of having to stock it in our store. And I've seen the new cards and they look cool, but they're just not. It's just not the same. And I hate being an old person and saying a statement like that, but that's just where we are right now. We're just old people that hate everything.
Not everything.
What's something you don't hate right now that's new and cool?
Splatoon.
All right, fair enough.
Actually,
although we can complain. Yeah. Can we complain about the lack of online everything in that game?
Oh man,
They really screwed up. They really screwed up. And we talked about this in a Minish recap like a couple months ago.
I believe we did. We've talked a lot about how just Nintendo continues to screw up everything regarding online interactivity.
Like, I understand at first, like, your first foray into online. But at this point, what are you doing? I don't understand. Like, and I'm usually a Nintendo defender. I cannot defend this anymore. Like, it's over. I'm not defending their stance on online stuff at this point. Because how can you not have, like, custom matchmaking options for matches with friends in Splatoon? That is ridiculous. That is unacceptable.
Completely unacceptable. And it's such a great product. I mean, I think I've talked to you about this before, but Splatoon, I could see Inklings being a very big selling point for that game. You could,
with all the customizable options and stuff, yeah, like people could create their own Inkling and like import it into the game online. There's this like super creative aspect to it because there's all these different customizable pieces of gear and stuff.
I actually look at it like more of a opportunity to go down the direction that Valve has gone down with their online games. And with their games, I mean, it's all about just customizable content and what your characters are wearing. I mean, everybody knows that Team Fortress 2 now is just Hat Fortress 2. And the Inklings, I love their design. They're colorful, they're fresh, they're new, they're really creative. Almost like I feel like it's something that's very marketable towards one of the biggest spending groups as far as junk, and that is the teenage girl group. So yes, I pretty much said I like teenage girl things. Take that how you will.
I don't know how to respond to that.
But yeah, you could almost, Nintendo could almost set up a shop in Splatoon for your online games where you get to like customize your characters. I mean, I see Splatoon as something that could potentially be a huge revenue stream for Nintendo, and probably one of the biggest, the biggest franchises out there.
I mean, I wish I could agree with you, and I feel like all of the potential in the world.
Oh,
it'll
never happen.
I don't feel like they're marketing it correctly. I feel like they're making the wrong decisions regarding the online, and it's disappointing because they did the same thing with Codename Steam. Like they hyped it up a lot, but I feel like they hyped it up the wrong way. Like they didn't show it off as this interesting turn-based strategy game where you're not able to see the opponent really, and like it's kind of an intense thing, and and it's very strategic. I don't feel like they focused on that aspect. I think they focused too much on, it's steampunk and it's Abraham Lincoln and he's collecting characters from literature, and it's like, who cares about that? Like I feel like they're almost doing the same thing with Splatoon, by just showing off like the fancy visuals and not the core gameplay mechanics. Like I feel like they're focusing, maybe I'm wrong on this, but
I don't even think
that's what I've seen.
Or I think the fancy visuals are like an important part of it, but if they were able to wrap up those visuals in a game that is not only fun but has a very good online infrastructure that is going to bring in a lot of players, and it's going to create a very strong community and make people want to play, and because it's just easy to contact and connect with their friends and new people and have customizable really cool Inklings, that it could be huge, just absolutely massive. And I believe we've talked about this before, but it just feels like such a missed opportunity. And
yeah, and Nintendo can't really afford missed opportunities right now, which is the sucky part for them.
Maybe it's something that they can go back on.
I mean, we saw what they did it with Codename Steam, right? Like they added the fast forward function for the aliens. I thought that was a great idea. Because that was everyone's huge complaint with the game is the aliens' turns takes forever. Well, we'll add a fast forward button so you can go as fast as you want through the turns. I think that's great. And so obviously Nintendo is not opposed to fixing problems with its games at this point, now that they actually have the ability to. But we'll see. I mean, maybe they'll add... I don't think you can really patch in voice chat, but you can probably patch in custom multiplayer options and stuff.
I do think Splatoon is it will be a franchise inevitably. So it won't get fixed.
No, because that means the second game is going to be called Splatoon, and that would be really bad. I don't want to see that.
Get ready for it.
Splatoon.
But I mean,
go ahead.
It'll be a franchise, and I mean, this one they've already screwed this one up. But hopefully, they'll learn from their mistakes and come back with a sequel that is a lot stronger in the online marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I desperately, every game that comes out on Wii U, I'm like, I hope this game is a big smash hit and people, get into it and they want more of it and people will buy Wii U's, and it's just like no one's gonna buy a Wii U at this point who doesn't already have one, really. So I think I need to get out of that mindset and just start focusing on like what they are doing that is good. And I think and I hope Splatoon will be that for me. I don't think anyone who doesn't have a Wii U has a reason to get excited about Splatoon, but for me personally, I think it looks great. Despite all the negative things that I just said,
it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I still think it's gonna be really good.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So next thing
incidentally, we're recording this on April 24th, 2015, which means that we are in our second week of our 52 games in 52 weeks thing. I only brought that up because
how's that going for you?
Well, hold on. I was initially going to say in 2 hours, we're recording it in the morning. There's going to be a presentation on Xenoblade Chronicles X. So by the time you hear this, you've probably watched this already. But I think they're going to announce a release date for it in North America. So we may have another giant game to be putting on our plates pretty soon. At least I definitely will, because I'm definitely getting the game.
I think I have to avoid it. I think I have too many RPGs.
Yeah, it's supposedly like 300 hours of gameplay. It's like it's really daunting because I was playing Virtue's Last Reward this week, as I said I was going to last week. I got about 20 hours of it in this week, which is not bad. Not quite done with it yet. I'm probably about halfway through. There's 24 endings in the game, so there's a lot to find and a lot to read. But if you took my advice and got 999, or you haven't gotten it yet or whatever, get 999.
I'll get around
play
to
Virtue, and then I was actually talking more to the audience, but
oh.
Get 999 and then play Virtue's Last Reward, and you'll notice that everything that was a problem with 999 is improved in Virtue's Last Reward. It's a more
what was my concern about the text speed?
Your concern was the text speed was like too slow for you to like speed read through everything, or it would take too long for all the text to pop up on the screen. If you just keep pressing A or tapping the touchscreen, all the text just appears in Virtue's Last Reward, and you can read it as fast or as slow as you want, or you can just listen to the actually surprisingly good voice acting in the game. And
voice acting, who needs that?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show, but we've talked about this before about how neither of us really care for voice acting, but
some people
this game may have changed my tune on it just a little bit because they did such a good job with it. So Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward, if you can find it, it's on Vita or 3DS. And an actual game on Vita that I like. So
my Vita has actually been getting some use.
I like a Vita game. Your Vita has been getting some use because what have you been playing this week?
I have been playing Shovel Knight, and
now that's not the game that you promised.
I know it's not, but Pikmin 3, Shovel Knight. I actually beat another game earlier this week, and that was the PC port of Typing of the Dead Overkill.
So tell us a little bit about that, because I have no idea what that is.
So if you've ever played a House of the Dead game in the arcades,
nope.
Oh, is
it like an on-rails shooter?
Yeah, it's an on-rails light gun shooter.
It is what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had several games released for the Wii that they did a remake of it. House of the Dead 2 and 3 Returns, and then they eventually made House of the Dead Overkill for the Wii, and it was designed to be like a B-list horror movie, and honestly the story of it is just atrocious. And even if those kinds of movies are your thing, it's still pretty bad.
Are you telling me that a zombie movie script is atrocious? Because that is offensive to me.
It's beyond bad.
Actually, I watched Shaun of the Dead last week. I really liked it. Unrelated, but I just wanted to bring that up.
That's a movie that I need to see again.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, it shows that zombie movies can be funny too.
They just have to be done right. I liked Zombieland. I didn't think it was perfect, but I thought it was enjoyable.
What's his name again? Tallahassee?
I think so.
I love that
It's
scene
been a
where he
while.
wipes his tears with money.
I forgot about that.
That's a big one on the internets. But
Yeah.
Typing of the Dead, Overkill. Well, on the Dreamcast had an original release for House of the Dead 2 and I think House of the Dead 3. And then they eventually came out with Typing of the Dead 2 for the Dreamcast. And that was a game where you could connect a keyboard to your Dreamcast. And instead of shooting with a light gun, you would type out words in order to kill the zombies.
So can I just say how ridiculous this sounds? Like, to anyone who's never heard of this, like myself, it sounds like you're just... Like, why is this on your backlog? Like, what makes it so compelling that makes it something you have to play? Because it sounds like Mario Teaches Typing or one of those types of games.
That's essentially what it is.
Are you serious?
It's like...
This was on your backlog?
Yep. It is essentially a typing trainer. And you'll play it, and you just pretty much learn how to type a little bit faster. And
This would be like if they made a game called Mavis Beacon Runs from Zombies.
one of the fun things about it is the dictionary that it uses. Well, you can use custom dictionaries if you want. So, yeah, there's like a science fiction dictionary, and then there's the standard dictionary for the game. And one of the enjoyable parts of it is a lot of the words and stuff that you will type out. It's really unusual phrases or words, and it sort of is like a play on what kind of zombies you're killing.
So, as an example...
So, I remember one of the bosses towards the end of the game.
We gotta put a trailer in for this because I gotta see this.
One of the bosses towards the end of the game, suddenly I found myself typing OMG, WTF, BBQ, and then like pretty much a bunch of text speak, and I was like, wait, what is going? It was really weird. I wasn't used to it, but it helped me learn. Really, that's what it is. It helped me learn to type things like unusual sequences of words really quickly.
Wow.
And
I mean,
that's all it is, really.
You know what? I can imagine that this would be like a big Nintendo thing. Like at the end of their E3 press conference, they'd be like, "But wait, we have one more thing to show you." And like everyone's expecting like a new Metroid or a Zelda trailer or whatever, and like they just
typing of the Mario,
typing of the Mario. But so like it's like how they did with Nintendo Land the other year. That wait, we have one more thing to show you, and it was like freaking a fireworks show. Like that was the stupidest thing I've ever waited around for. Anyway, was that the last year they actually did a traditional press conference?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, that was not a great press conference.
And
it was
think
okay.
That's why they decided to change direction with their Nintendo Directs.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with it this year. I mean, they have a lot of stuff still under wraps for E3. It's gonna be exciting. So anyway, what are your initial? Yeah, you beat Typing of the Dead.
Beat it.
Waiting for the sequel, Typing of the Mario, and then
I'll get into.
Or I guess it'd be Typing of the Re-Dead would be a better one because they already have Mario Teaches Typing, so we'll call it Typing of the Re-Dead.
I'd play that.
I actually would too. Later in the year, we'll do Re-Dead impressions. We'll make that a segment on the show, but my voice isn't prepared for it right now.
Maybe they'll do a Dynasty Warriors typing of the Hyrule Warriors.
Dang it! I totally lost my train of thought. You ruined it with that amazing idea.
All you would type is things like Skulltula and
do the same thing over and over again.
24. No.
Hack and slash.
72 hours remain. Things like that.
I'd probably buy that. So what are your opinions of Shovel Knight so far? How far have you gotten?
Oh, Shovel Knight is incredible. I've beaten the first 2 bosses. I think I've beaten 3 bosses by now. And
have you died a lot, or is it just sort of a...
I've died a fair amount of times, usually due to carelessness. And I like how the checkpoints, you can actually destroy the checkpoints in the game and get more money for your character if you destroy the checkpoints. But what it means is you don't get the checkpoint anymore. So if you die, you'll go back to the previous checkpoint, or if you destroy all the checkpoints, you'd go back all the way to the beginning of the level.
Yeah.
And that's like a really neat concept. It feels like I'm playing a Nintendo game, like an old NES game, like Mega Man or Super Mario Brothers 3 or Castlevania for the first time. And
That's really cool.
and it's just
I love that.
It's a great feeling. I sort of wish that it came with a manual.
Yeah,
I'm sure it
yeah.
did if you were like one of the original Kickstarter backers and you drop down whatever, maybe like $50, they gave you a manual. I don't know. We'll have to check into that. But like a manual would just make the experience so much more complete to me, since that's pretty much the only thing that's missing from those games. But it tells a story sort of like a Mega Man does, or a Ninja Gaiden. I love it. There's cutscenes in it after you beat bosses. It's a lot about collecting money for your character. But
And of course, it's got that classic 8-bit music and sound effects and stuff, and it's a really good package. And if you haven't played Shovel Knight, just go out and get it. It's like, what is it, $15?
$15, yeah. It was
it's
so worth it. I
definitely
thought it was
worth
going to be like 20, 25, and $15. I do not regret it a single bit. I would pay probably $50 for this game.
Whoa, that's okay. That's a ringing endorsement right there. I have trouble saying that I would, if something is a certain price, I have trouble saying I would pay more for it, because it's like, why would I do that? It's this price. I would pay $15 for Shovel Knight.
I would pay 50.
All right.
Yeah, it's that good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I can't wait to finish it. I'll have more on it later, but just one of the cool things about the game is the developers really tried to stay true to 8-bit game design, and they sort of approached the game like what they thought would happen if we never left 8-bit, if all the technology for the games was still just put directly on the cartridge. And they made some adjustments, like sprites don't flicker if there's more than 8 on a horizontal row. I think the music has a few more channels than the NES was capable of playing at points.
Probably.
And they added a few colors for some of the bosses, just because it fit the personality of the boss better, and it wasn't in the Nintendo's original color palette.
You know what I'd like to see them try an actual 8-bit Shovel Knight, limiting themselves exactly to the NES hardware, and see like what they would do with it. Like, it'd be interesting to see side by side.
I would like to see if they would just do like a little experiment, maybe with one of the levels, and to see if it was possible. I'm sure it would be. I don't know if you know that the guy who made Retro City Rampage, he actually did pare down the game and figure out a bunch of ways that he could get around the NES's limitations.
Huh. I did not know about that.
And he made like a miniature version of Retro City Rampage that you could actually play on a Nintendo cartridge. And I think like the limit for the size is something ridiculous, like 56 kilobytes or something.
Wow.
But yeah, he was actually able to do that. So I'd be really curious to see if they could do it. I think I'll put a link in if you want to read more about Shovel Knight and what the developers did as far as
you'll put a link in. You'll send me
or
the link.
I'll send you the link,
in.
and we'll put that in down for you guys to take a look at, see what they had to do in order to make the game feel like an 8-bit game.
Yeah, that'd be cool for them to read, for sure. Read it after you listen to the podcast. Don't turn us off. We still have lots of stuff to say. Incidentally, you were saying something about manuals, and I forgot to bring this up last week when we were talking about why modern games are terrible. They don't come with manuals anymore.
Nope, in-game tutorials only.
Screw that. Give me a manual. I want to be flipping through those colorful pages and reading about the backstory of the game, and I love that stuff. In the sense
of saving money, it makes sense for them to put everything within the game.
I know it makes sense. I don't give a crap.
But yeah, I don't care either.
I would pay extra for a manual. I would if it was a $60 game as opposed to a $65 game, and the $65 game came with a nice, 18-page manual with color and pictures and fun things to look at. Like, I'd pay $5 extra for that. I don't care.
I would honestly rather pay extra money for a manual with my game than these stupid little figurines that they're giving with games.
One of the things that you always bring up when we talk about manuals, because for some reason manuals is a conversation we've had many times, is how when you play the original Legend of Zelda, you were just enthralled by this manual. I'll let you tell them a little bit about that, though. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, you know that anybody who wants to play the original Legend of Zelda for the first time, I suggest that they have to play it with the manual next to them, the manual and the map that came with the game, because it makes the game just a more complete experience.
It's like playing Earthbound with that strategy guide. You kind of have to do it.
Yeah, you kind of have to, because otherwise you just... It sort of helps start to guide you in the right direction, but it doesn't give you too much. So when you get later in the game, it's more up to you, and you feel smart for finding things, even though the manual and the map given with the manual give you the tools to learn how the world works and how you can explore the world.
Imagine if that was the first game you ever played and you didn't have a manual. You'd be like, I don't even know what to do. Can I go on that black thing? Oh, okay, I got a sword. I don't even know how to I don't know how to hold my controller.
It has some things that are... It does have some game design that is straightforward. Like the first screen you start on, there's a cave. And so right away you just go into the cave and you find the sword. But finding the first dungeon, if you look in the manual, there's a guide for how to get to the first dungeon, or you can look at the map that comes with the game, and the map sort of guides you to the first, second, third, and fourth dungeons, I think. And it sort of puts question marks on pages for, I believe, the 5th, 6th, and 7th dungeons.
Man, I wish I could go back and just experience all that for the first time, in that era. So everyone knows who's watching this channel, or most people probably know, we started as a podcast for our internet message board on the Zelda board. And at the time when we started, I was finishing up what had been a 2.5-year adventure to play through all the Zelda games and write about them and talk about them.
I love that you did that, by the way.
Yeah, I had so much fun doing it, and I'm kind of sad that it's over, and maybe one day I'll revive it and go back through all the games except Phantom Hourglass and Four Swords. Screw those games. But I wish, even then, when I first played through the original Zelda in 2012, I think it was, I wish I could have... I tried to do it the best I could without looking up any internet help, and I just got help from my friends who were like, oh, here's what you have to do this, trying to mimic what you would do in 1987 with that game. You'd have to talk to your friends about it on the school bus. What do I do to get past the Lionels here or whatever?
This is actually exactly how I eventually beat the game.
Yeah, and so I kind of wish we could go back to that point where there was no internet. It was you and it was your wits and it was a strategy guide maybe if you had one, and it was your friends, and that was it. And it just, I don't want to say it takes the magic out of gaming, because it doesn't, but it's something a little extra that we just don't have anymore.
It's sort of, I'm trying to think. I don't know if many modern games do it where they give you the tools, where they give you some of the tools in the beginning of the game and sort of point you in the right direction, and then gradually take off the reins and let you figure things out yourself. A lot of games don't even do that. They don't say oh, hey, check this out, and give you an idea of how the world works and what kind of tricks you can do in order to find new things. And I wish that more games did do that. There's such a lack of magic in current games. That needs to be there.
You know what it sounds like to me we're doing right now? It sounds like we're doing an impromptu topic change from the topic that we...
Oh no, we just went back to
today.
last week.
No, not necessarily. Because it's actually a good segue into something that we have on this list right here. And it is, we have a big list of topics that we would cover. And this is, we were going to talk about our favorite developers this week, but I think this is a good opportunity to move into talking about Nintendo's abandonment of discovery in their games. You want to explain a little bit what you mean when you say that they've abandoned discovery?
If you look at just the Mario games within Nintendo's history, you have Super Mario Brothers, which is really straightforward if you think about it. But even that game, suddenly you just had this compulsion to hit bricks and find sort of secret bricks that had things to find. And I think it was part of that was the design of the game. A lot of times it would make you jump in unexpected places. Then you'd be like, oh, hey, there's a secret here. And so, yeah, it sort of forced you to realize like there's more to this world that I can find than I realize. And so you would experiment, and then you'd find out that, oh, hey, I can jump over the top of the level in World 1, 2, and I can find these warp pipes. Or, hey, there's this beanstalk for me to climb because I jumped into it. Or, yeah, I found a block that grew a beanstalk. And it went from that into, Super Mario Brothers 3.
With the wing and everything,
Yes.
you had to fly over stuff.
Super Mario Brothers 3 used new technology that enabled like vertical and horizontal, or vertical and diagonal scrolling, I believe. And so, yeah, now you could fly, and you could find new places to find. You could break rocks with the hammer that you would get from fighting the Koopa Troop, not the Koopa
Hammer
Troopas.
Bros.
Yeah, the Hammer Bros or the Fire Bros or whatever.
Hammers in their name. Come on, man.
And you could find.
I haven't even finished the game. This is my biggest gaming shame. I haven't finished it, and I'm telling you about the game. Okay, go ahead.
You could. I'm sort of ashamed actually. You found secrets that way. You found like the whistles. You found all sorts of cool new suits that you could wear with your character. And that's like they just kept building from there. Super Mario World had all the different paths with the ghost houses. You went to Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is my favorite 3D Mario game. And the controls aren't the best. The camera controls are infuriating now to go back and play with.
Shout out to Zyber. He actually just finished Super Mario 64. He gave it a 3 out of 8.
Ouch. But
Right?
But that didn't matter to me because you had this. People call it a hub world. I don't consider it a hub world. I consider it its own level because you could find.
Right?
If you'd look up at the mural or the relief on the ceiling of the sun, and suddenly it would get brighter and brighter and brighter, and then boom, you're in this level to hit the red switch and get all the flying blocks in the game unlocked. Or you're told by a toad that, hey, there's like a secret in like Princess Peach's room, and you go into Princess Peach's room and you find that you can jump through one of the stained glass windows. Just the fact that you jump into the paintings in order to get to levels, you go one of the boos in the courtyard you have to hit, and it releases the dollhouse for you to go in.
And this is one of my first ever gaming experiences, was playing Mario 64, and this is of course before I had internet, and of course I had no friends. So everything I was finding on my own, and it was like magical. And eventually I got a strategy guide, and I had like 70 stars or whatever, and I had beaten the game, but I didn't have everything. So I poured through that strategy guide and just went and got everything that I missed. And I'm like, this is amazing that I missed all this stuff, and that I could have found all this if I'd explored a little more.
Even subtle things like you couldn't get to Bowser until you had enough stars, but you could go up the stairs perpetually. And it played that I forget what the word is called for that, a tune that like sounds like it keeps getting higher and higher.
Oh yeah, it's like a chromatic something.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's a chromatic ascending scale, but it like sounds like it's going up, but at the same time it's actually not going anywhere. It's like one of those barbershop poles where you like follow the thing around and it looks like it's actually going around forever.
This is what Nintendo games were to me and to you.
Yeah, complete nonsense that doesn't make any sense. That's what they were, basically.
And it was there with Ocarina of Time too. That's why that was such a huge game. I mean, people loved Ocarina of Time and all the secrets that you could find there. Just like any of the previous Zelda games.
So what's the difference? Let's tie it together. What has changed exactly?
Now, Nintendo has grown so obsessed with designing the gameplay that they have forgotten the magic of exploration and discovery.
I think you're right, and I think is this why we're so excited about Splatoon? Because it looks like it's not just gameplay. It looks like there's going to be stuff. Like, it looks like it's just full of stuff.
Yeah, it's full of something new, something fresh. I want to see what kind of cool things I unlock for my character. It's different. It's new again. I need that from Nintendo. I'm not saying that their games are bad. They have such great gameplay.
Let's use Super Mario Galaxy as an example because I think it's the perfect example.
It is. It really marked the change. A lot of people sort of had beef with Sunshine and the hub world, and Sunshine sort of got away from like the magic of the world, but it still retained some charm. There were some secrets to find in the world itself. But Super Mario Galaxy, that had a hub world. The gameplay was excellent. How you had all the different objectives in every level, and you would go through the levels and complete the objectives. And it always built on itself. It never threw too much at you. It would always like gradually ease you in what to do, which is perfect. That's sort of the same gameplay design that Nintendo had back in the day. But Nintendo also eased you into how to find new things and not just accomplish tasks. And that's all it's become now. It's not about finding new things. Now it's Nintendo teaching you how to accomplish the different tasks that they set before you.
They're guilty of the same thing that we talked about last week with creating a checklist for you. I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't right now. So just saying, collecting all of the shine, not the shine sprites, the stars in Mario Galaxy, like that was pretty much it. Like, yeah, you could learn about the game story with Rosalina and the Lumas or whatever, and you could. And I almost felt Super Mario Galaxy 2 was almost there with that little hub ship. Like there was kind of stuff to do on it, but not really. And
it was just like token exploration.
Yeah,
and it was just a little bit. And Super Mario 3D World has completely changed. I mean, there's nothing to find in the world.
Yeah, it's basically Super Mario World, but with nothing particularly charming about it. Like, it's a really good game. It's solid for sure. It's really enjoyable as an experience, and I beat it and I loved it and it was great. But it's just as an experience, there's nothing really memorable about it. And yeah, the gameplay was great. And the gameplay was great in Super Mario 3D Land, which is actually one of my favorite Mario games from a gameplay perspective.
And maybe I'm missing, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I do know that like Super Mario 3D World, there are some places to find that are like sort of off the beaten path, and that's where you'll find some of the stars in the level.
Not really. I mean, kind of, maybe. There's no definitive moment in that game where you say, "Oh, I just jumped through a stained glass window and I went down a secret fun slide with great music and I found a star, and then I went down there again to see if I could beat my time, and then I accidentally found another star."
Yeah.
Like that's not in there by any means.
That's not in there at all. It's like, oh, hey, here's a star on top of this platform that I climbed up with as a catsuit.
Well, you don't really collect stars. Well, I mean, you do. It's like the 3 green stars, but
yeah.
I mean, so yeah, that's it. I mean, it's like a shadow of its former self, I guess would be the best way to put it. Like it's almost there, but it's not. It doesn't come together as a full memorable experience. Like
this is one of the things that this is one of the things that
go ahead.
bothered me about Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword, I still rate it as like a 5 out of 5 game. It's still great to me.
Yeah.
But when it came to exploration, it boiled down to like you could always see a Goddess Cube. I mean, they almost always showed you where Goddess Cube was and that you had to hit it. And so it was sort of fun to try to find your way to the Goddess Cube, because a lot of that game was about just how to traverse the terrain. And I really liked that. It was always about finding your way to something. And that's why I thought
I'll be honest with you, I really struggled with that aspect of the game. I did not care for especially when you had to like break out the dowsing with Fi, and it was like, why am I doing this? Like, it felt, because I would do the dowsing and I'd be like, well, I can't get over there right now, so I have to find a way around. So what's the purpose of this? Why are you making me do this?
I liked it personally. That's just personal gaming tastes, I think.
Yeah.
I thought it was well designed, but I can totally see it not being for everybody. But then, like, yeah, the Goddess Cubes, they were almost always easily found, and then you could douse to find things. So that sort of took away the element of like, oh, hey, I just found something really cool. And then when you hit the Goddess Cubes, it would unlock a chest in the overworld, and, oh, hey, the chest is now on your map. And that just pretty much sums it up right there.
I think the Minish Cap. I think that handled it right. Like you remember when you'd unlock something and then a chest would appear. It wouldn't show you exactly where it was, but it would show you like the screen.
A scene, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's where that is. Oh, where was that? I have to go back and find that. Like I think that's the right way to handle it, and I don't think Skyward Sword did that.
I actually was a huge fan of Kinstone Fusion.
Oh yeah, well we can talk about how much we love Minish Cap all day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's second only to A Link Between Worlds. It's my favorite handheld Zelda, and in fact, it might be my favorite. I can't remember. I haven't played it in a while. Maybe I'll go back and I'll do that one again soon for sure. Minish Cap is an amazing game.
Minish Cap was incredible, and
totally
it's a game
underrated.
It's a game I feel like I need to go back to because it did sort of have that feeling of exploration because you would go Minish or you'd shrink and you'd find cool little new places, and it was sort of cool because all of a sudden everything's small. So I mean, I remember going small for the first time in the shoemaker's shop, and the shoemaker doesn't even realize that he's got all these Minish creatures like helping him out, but they're there.
He's this super incompetent guy who's like, I make the best shoes in the world. It's really all the Minish making the shoes. It's like I woke up and all my shoes were just made. I did all this myself. What an idiot!
But it sort of captured that sense of discovery. And that's just something that's sorely missing.
It's weird how like such a simple concept like, oh, we're going to make Link small, like how it makes just into this amazing thing.
And this reminds me of actually I have to go. I feel like I have to go into this because this is one of the few.
We're jumping around a lot. Sorry guys, but
this is the nature of our conversations.
Hopefully you're following.
This is Effortless. But I feel like this is such a great example. And I haven't played Bloodborne. But this is a story I read, I believe, on Kotaku. And they talked about how there's, I believe, a tree hollow or something. And within that hollow, you could find another secret entrance. And then that led down to an ashen lake. And that's just something, it was something it wasn't pointing out to players. It was just there for you to find. And if you found it, good. But if you didn't, you never got to see it. And that's what's missing.
So even with the advent of modern gaming and the way that it seems like everything is sort of handed to you, there are still games out there that are trying to kind of leave it up to you. And I know it's hard with the internet and everything, but I feel like games are better experienced kind of just the way they used to be. And that makes me sound really old, but just this idea that you can talk about a game, with a friend who's playing the same game. Be like, did you find this? And you'll be like, no, man, I didn't find that. I should go back and look for it. Like, I think that's a really cool thing. And I also like the idea that not everyone's experiencing the same game the same way, which happens a lot with linear storylines and all this stuff. I didn't want to wrap the show on that because that was kind of a boring, I was talking and I just started trailing off and be like, how am I going to finish this sentence? So one thing you can do for us, now that we've talked about literally everything I wanted to get to, you can like our video.
And you can argue with us, please.
Yeah, I like arguments. If you don't agree with something you said, talk to us about it. And maybe we'll argue back at you next week. Or maybe we'll respond in the comments. Or maybe something else stupid would happen. A third option that I haven't thought about yet.
We'll figure it out.
Also, you can also subscribe to the channel if you like the show. If you subscribe, you won't miss a single freaking thing that we put out. And we have introduced so many new shows lately. We got 8-Brit. We got a podcast. I'm giving away a bunch of stuff in that thing.
I highly suggest 8-Brit. It's pretty much just an hour of...
No, it's not even an hour. It's like 40 minutes max.
40 minutes. Yeah, it feels like an hour.
We're ringing endorsement.
Of
half an hour that feels like an hour.
Of listening to some beautiful, beautiful British accents.
Yeah, so it's worth it at least for that.
It's great.
It's better than this show for one thing because they we could talk in accents the whole time. I mean, you already get to hear Piddle's
that might
wonderful.
It might make it better.
Do you think maybe if we start the show up with accents next time, we'll get more people to stick around?
Yes.
I think it also might have to do with my terrible intro music that people are leaving early. Or it might be the Comic Sans, or it might be a combination of all three of those things.
So next week, no Comic Sans. No.
And you know what? I'm going to make a promise
accents.
right now. I'm going to make a promise right now. This video is going to be uploaded in HD. specifically for your viewing pleasure.
I love it.
I find it
HD
hilarious.
Comic
like,
Sans.
Okay, so we do the podcast or minutes recap or whatever. Like Omni does a lot of the touch up work on that, and he insists that every video be uploaded in HD. And I'm like, why do you do this? He's like, it's a principle of mine. Like I upload everything in HD. I'm like, but it's just a still image. He's like, has to be in HD. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna do Effortless in HD now. So
I love it.
you're now watching Effortless in HD. I hope you notice the difference. The Comic Sans, you can see every grain of and pixel in that Comic Sans right now.
I love it.
Do we have anything else to say? I really can't think of anything.
What games do you plan to play this week?
Oh, crap. I forgot we're going to talk about this. Well, I'm going to finish Virtue's Last Reward for sure.
I'll finish Shovel Knight.
I really haven't decided past that. I'll probably do Xenoblade Chronicles 3D because I didn't get a chance to. I was going to do it this last week, but then I discovered that 999 had a sequel, so I changed plans. I might get to Xenoblade. It's like a 60-plus hour game, so maybe. We'll see.
And maybe I'll finally get around to Pikmin 3.
Yeah, so the false promises of last week gave way to new hope this week.
There's not much hope.
Or something. I don't know what I'm saying. It's all just gibberish at this point. So I have to go to my job working with hot dogs, and Piddle has to go spend time with his parents because he's at their house or something.
It's going to be a wonderful time.
Hey, say hi to them for me.
I will.
We have such a good relationship, your parents and me.
You do?
Yeah, you didn't know?
Oh,
this is the thing.
I'll invite
that
you
happened,
over for dinner.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Maybe
all of us.
We are gonna
go out.
We are gonna try to do a live show one day with all of us in the Midwest because that's where a lot of us are. We'll get Josh and Todd. We'll get frickin' Piddle. We'll get Twilight Prince on there. It's gonna be great. It's going to be an amazing show. So keep an eye out for that. It's the new backlog episode. We're always going to talk about it. It's never going to happen until it happens. And then it's going to be great.
Love it.
So thanks, everyone, for listening to this episode of Effortless. We'll be back again next week and with more things and stuff.
Thank you and good night.
The outro is going as badly as the intro. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great night.